Welcome to The Creative Influencer, where we discuss all things creative with an emphasis on influencers. The Creative Influencer is hosted by John Pfeiffer. John is an entertainment attorney in Santa Monica, California, who represents influencers and other creatives.
This is episode 8 of the first season of the Creative Influencer Podcast. Today we interview Don Knight. Don Knight is a non-traditional influencer in charge of the Instagram account, The High Society. He gives us a look into the work behind the account, the difficulties associated with posting cannabis-related content, and his clothing brand featuring cannabis-related humor. Don is also in charge of movie nights at LA State Historic Park in downtown Los Angeles, featuring music, food, and good times. You're going to enjoy this interview. I am joined today by Don Knight. Welcome.
Thank you. This is my first podcast, actually.
Is it?
Yep.
Oh, I get a newbie.
Yeah.
All right. You are an influencer, but not in the stereotypical fashion. And you also have an unusual way of monetizing your Instagram account.
You're right.
Okay, so your Instagram account has, last I checked, 1.4 million followers.
Right.
But it's private.
Yep.
Why is it private?
For a few reasons. And I think we might be at 1.5 now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. The thing that's awful about being private is you actually have to manually let everybody in. So that makes it kind of tough. And it's when the account's this big, you can't really delegate to someone else. You can't hire services because then you have to, third-party services always want you to provide your credentials, which is,
right,
a little too risky for an account this size. But yeah, well, what happened was why I went private, and now it's become a thing. It's kind
so
of
it was public at one time?
It was public, right.
Okay, and then how long ago did it go private?
I would say 2-3 years ago, Instagram started deleting a lot of cannabis pages, because originally we were just posting cannabis photography. And it was growing really fast.
And you've jumped ahead to my next question, and we'll come back to this.
Okay.
Your site is devoted to?
Cannabis. Yeah, The High Society.
The High Society, okay. So now it was public, you went private.
So we were public, and Instagram started deleting a lot of pages similar to ours. So I think we had like 150,000 followers at that time, and I was just nervous, of all the hard work getting deleted by Instagram. So I literally wiped out the entire page and took all the cannabis pictures down because it was just too risky to keep it up.
You're talking pictures of like plants?
Yeah, actual pictures of grows and stuff like that. And I guess you would call it weed porn is kind of how they would categorize it.
I've never heard it called that.
So
does your site have any weed porn on it now?
It doesn't. No, I'm trying. We're going to get back there eventually because I think things are opening up more with legalization here in California, and
right,
it's spreading across the country. So I went public and pretty much shelved the brand for a while because I didn't know exactly how to transition, because all we did was post these beautiful photography of cannabis.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what to do. I had other businesses, so I just kind of shelved it for 6 months or something. And then my background is clothing, and we did a lot of humor tees and stuff like that. So I saw memes were kind of taking off, and I thought, hey, why not kind of go back at what I'm, where I come from, the humor aspect. And
yeah. And is that where it's focused now?
Yeah, so we kind of started doing like original content and sharing content from other influencers that was more humor-based, which, cannabis and humor go hand in hand. So it started taking off, and the account was private just so that, we could kind of have some protection from Instagram saying, hey, you're showing this content to underage people. So we put must be 18 and up in the bio, and then made it public.
Have you found that it's grown faster as a private site than it did as a public site?
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, I've tested it both ways, being public and being private. And I would say having over at least a couple, like 200,000 followers, it grows much faster private, oddly enough.
Which is just counterintuitive.
Yeah. I think it's kind of the concept that everyone complains that they don't want to go to this club or this bar or this place because it's too busy, but no one ever says, I want to go somewhere where it's dead.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to go where the people are. So I think when they see if they know what your content is, that it's maybe it's basketball or shoes or cannabis, as long as they know that what it is, that your account's based on, and if you have a lot of followers, I think it makes it more appealing almost for people to join and see what it's all about. And it also kind of fits with our society aspect,
Right.
It kind of, people have told me that, like, I like that you're private. And I'm like, why? It kind of makes it more of a society than if you were public.
It does, actually. It's a
Yeah.
private club.
Yeah, essentially.
Imagine having a cigar lounge that's private.
Right.
So it is devoted to cannabis. How did the High Society come to be?
I was actually originally working on basically creating a website with selling more than a head shop, an online higher end cannabis. I guess I'll say head shop so people understand what I mean. But we were trying to make just a high end, like top shelf head shop for the internet, and that's how it came about. Me and another guy wanted to kind of get this store out there. And we ended up, he and I, we're not working together any longer, but we got the store up and it took off. I mean, the store was top 3% on Shopify within months. They sent me this notification saying, hey, congratulations, you're in the top 3% of all websites on our platform with growth in the particular period that you joined Shopify.
And I went back, and at one point you were selling High Society lighters.
Yeah.
Sweatshirts,
Right.
sweatpants, hoodies, buttons.
Glass.
Just in that stage of this.
Yeah, we were selling all that stuff, and the site was taking off, and eventually, what kind of sucks is we did so well that Shopify goes, hey, I was just curious at what you're selling because it's selling so well, and
they didn't know.
They didn't know, and then so after they sent the certification, they looked at it and then said, we actually can't support this. So they didn't shut me down, but they shut down my merchant account that was in-house with Shopify. So then I was forced to find third-party merchant solutions, which I did.
Yeah.
But then one by one, they shut me down because their explanation to me was that if I was the Tobacco Society, I would be fine because, they're saying for tobacco use only in all the head shops.
Right.
You got to, they want you to lie to them and say that it's a tobacco pipe.
What year was this? How long ago?
This was like 2009 or 10 that all this started. So it was a roller coaster. I mean,
Well, just to put this in context, I actually did some research. Because I knew about the legalization, but I was curious about when it was made illegal.
right.
And
Like glass or,
no, I'm talking just cannabis.
yeah.
In the Poison Act of 1907, I love the name of that.
Yeah.
Was amended in 1913 to make the possession of hemp abstract or loco weed, and that's what they put in the statute, was loco weed, a crime. Fast forward to the 50s, the beatniks, 60s, the hippies. California was the first state in 1972 to have a proposition to legalize marijuana.
Right.
It failed. But then in 1996, there was a Compassionate Use Act, and then in 2016, the Adult Use of Marijuana Act, making it legal for recreational use.
Right.
So just in the context of this, you were between the Compassionate Use Act and the full California having it be legal.
Exactly. And the thing that affected us is just because the state of California legalized, all the banking is federal. So that's what, one of the biggest issues was Obama created Operation Choke Point, where he was saying for certain industries, whether it be payday advance companies or firearm dealers or gambling, porn, tobacco, which we fall under tobacco.
Okay.
So he basically said instead of us policing the internet and finding all of these websites everywhere, we're going to just create a choke point, which is the banking industry. So if you guys accept the money from these industries, you lose your license as a bank.
So that was Obama to put that in place?
Yeah, he did Choke Point Operation. I think it was Operation Choke Point. And then when Sessions came in, I think the banking industry just got even more afraid of what could happen.
Right.
And that's when we got shut down. And my funds got frozen for 9 months. My banks were. I had to call too. It wasn't like they sent me a notification saying your account was suspended. My wire stopped coming in. And I called them and said, hey, what's going on? And they said, oh, we don't know. And I was like, all right. And then I was getting, thousands of dollars wired every day into a different account. And then after 10 days, I called back and said, hey, I still haven't heard from you guys. Where's the money at? Because now it's becoming, quite a bit of money. And they said, oh, we shut you down 10 days ago. I was like, well, I know that, but why? What's going on?
Yeah.
So then eventually someone contacted me and said, you were, the way she said it is you were kind of doing what Tommy Chung got arrested for. And he served 6 or 9 months, I want to say.
Yeah.
And she said, if you're shipping pipes, across the country, and
Even though you were not shipping marijuana.
No,
to be clear,
just glass. And she said, this was funny because she told me, you're the high society, so we can only assume what they're smoking in these pipes. And I said, well, yeah, exactly. It's an assumption, And she goes, well, you have a weed leaf in your logo. And I said, that's not a weed leaf, that's a hemp leaf. She said, oh my God, that's a good point, but
that distinction didn't carry the day.
She said it's a great point. Let me go talk to the executives and see what they say about this, but they didn't like that angle.
So at some point you transitioned to Instagram.
Well, no, Instagram's was going, yeah.
Okay.
So the Instagram was built, it fueled the website, and then the website got shut down.
Okay.
And I think we're at 600,000 followers. So I'm curious. The site's gonna go wild when it gets back up eventually one day.
Yeah.
Because we took it serious. I mean, we shipped every single order every day. Every order that came in, we shipped same day. So people were emailing, going, "Dude, you're like the Amazon of weed. Like we got our our shirt or our bong next day." So it grew quick. It grew really quick.
I don't want to let Tommy Chong go by. For the uninitiated, who is Tommy Chong?
Tommy Chong is an actor, comedian, and I guess a musician. He's before
the duo
me.
Of Cheech and Chong.
Cheech and Chong, yeah. He's a little bit before my time, but I know him personally. Been to his house and been to some of his shows, and he's kind of does it all.
Because he is following you.
Right.
And in stereotypical fashion, you are following food. You're following In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah.
I'm Hungry, LA Food Fest, LA Foodie, LA Food Guy.
Yeah.
I assume that was intentional.
Yeah, I follow a lot. I love food. And I have the Food and Film Festival that we started recently. So that's another reason. A lot of these guys that I'm following, especially the food trucks we partnered with, and they come out to our event that we're doing downtown now.
And I want to transition to that because you have monetized your site in a very interesting way, which I kind of cut you off. But what is the Food and Film Festival?
Well, yeah. So just to back up a tiny bit, I get emailed or DM'd and emailed about 10 times a day with people wanting me to do paid promotions on the page. But I would say 90% of the brands, I mean, I don't even look at them anymore, but I would say 90% of them are just kind of gimmicky garbage stuff that I wouldn't want to promote to, I want to keep things super honest. I've always been that way, and I don't want to promote products just to make money. I want to deliver something to our followers that they actually find use in and enjoyment. So, yeah, we started this movie night. From my T-shirt days, I worked with all the studios doing licensed T-shirts and stuff for Urban Outfitters.
Actually, I'm going to interrupt myself or interrupt you to take you back. We haven't heard your personal story first. Let's get the personal story. We'll bring that up to speed because that'll get the clothing company involved. Yeah. Okay. So you're originally from
Florida, Fort Lauderdale, or Hollywood is where I was born. Then I came out to this Hollywood.
Hollywood to Hollywood.
Yeah.
You left home early?
Yeah, I was out of the house at 14.
What did you do?
I just bopped around. I was in group homes, I lived on my friend's boat for a little while in Miami. Just pretty much bounced around the country and gained a lot of experience, actually. It actually ended up I feel like working in my favor in a way.
And then at some point you formed a clothing company.
Yeah, I was, let me think, 24, I think, and me and my business partner, he was printing some T-shirts, and we kind of got together and started, building a brand together, and it went crazy. It went into every retail store you can pretty much imagine. We're in if you count doors, it was probably 4,000 stores, but actual accounts was more like 900. But we had Bloomingdale's, Macy's, Kitson back in the day here on Robertson, Urban Outfitters, Journeys. So
what would the T-shirts, were they?
They were humor based, but they had a vintage look and feel to them. So we put special washes on them to make them feel like that old, favorite vintage tee that was super soft.
And who came up with the captions?
Me and my old business partner did most of them. Or pretty much, yeah. I mean, our art department came up with some, but I feel like they were better off at executing, the actual graphics, and we were kind of more the conceptual guys.
So you built this company,
right?
What happened?
It got up to, we built this company, I think our biggest year was like 7 million, and then we bought 2 other brands. So combined, we got up to, our last year was 15 million. And people knew us, and we were in all the stores. So they would reach out to us and say, hey, we want White Man Can't Jump, vintage looking, So I'd call the studio, or my business partner would work out a deal or try to work out a deal. We had a lot of licenses, like in Living Color, Rocky, a lot of real classic licenses. So that's how I met the studios. I knew I had contacts at the studios. So after I sold the brands and everything like that, and I was, fast forward to the high society getting shut down and all that, I was thinking, like, what can I do around town that's, an event that is, we can get people to come out to and have a good time. And my buddy has a 50-foot movie screen, so I was like, dang, we could do a movie night out in the park. And,
wow, that's a story in and of itself.
Right.
How did he get a 50-foot movie screen?
His movie theater burned down.
Except the screen?
No. He was in Malibu, and remember when the Malibu theater burned down?
Yes.
I think the restaurant next door caught fire.
Yeah.
And his movie theater burned down. So I asked him, I said, so what'd you do? How did it all come about? And he's like, well, I didn't want to just sit idle, while they were rebuilding it. And he had, obviously insurance money to pay for his time down, but he built a outdoor movie screen that he could project, basically have an outdoor movie theater. So he kind of started this movement in LA. I think, I wouldn't say he started it. I can't say that because I don't know for sure, but he pioneered a good...
But there aren't very many people that have outdoor movie screens.
There's not many, but every major city I feel like might have, here and there, they'll do a movie night in the park or something like that.
And, so your friend had this movie screen.
Right.
He had the idea to do movies outside.
Yeah. And, I wanted to bring out music, food, all everything that's, a fun night that's not... Yeah, I feel like everyone's kind of turning away from nightclubs now. Everyone's kind of... I feel like maybe social media is ruining it for us. Like everyone wants less human interaction and less, more low-key nights. So I thought this could be cool. We could do a low-key night. So I called the studios and I was like, could I get the rights to all these humor, comedies,
right,
good stoner movies and stuff like that, but not necessarily stoner movies, just good movies. And I ended up getting the rights to. I got a huge library, so I had the rights to 500 movies, and I was like, all right. Now I'm onto something. Yeah. So we started doing these movie nights, and they're starting to take off.
How long ago was your first one?
We're on our fifth one now. So
where do you hold them?
At the LA State Historic Park in downtown LA.
So how does this work? Do people go online and buy tickets first? Do you buy tickets there?
Yeah, tickets are only $14, and it's basically like you're buying a ticket to a movie theater. But we have Craig Conant is a friend of mine. He's a comedian. He's hosting the night, so. You got, some laughs. There's a DJ. My friend Jason and my friend Jack have been DJing the night. So there's great music, food trucks. We have all the best trucks in LA that come out for it. So you get a good bite to eat, listen to music for a couple hours, and then once the sun sets, we put the movies on a 50-foot movie screen. And the sound is insane.
So it starts at, what time do people start coming in?
People show up around 6. Yeah. And blankets are laid out on the park. People are, we have a full bar too. So cocktails,
you
food.
Buried the lead on that.
So it's a full-fledged production, and it's growing. We're adding retail to the next one, live art. We have some really big artists coming out to do live art that will be projected onto the movie screen. And what else are we adding? And we're adding a cornhole competition. So we're gonna.
Now, is it all at the same location?
Right now, it is. But I'm talking to a few other people about doing events in other locations because I want to make it accessible. Because LA, like if you live on the west side, you don't leave.
Right.
If you live downtown, no one wants to go downtown really. But we've been able to get, 1,000 people to come out to these nights, but it's still tough if someone lives here in Santa Monica. They're not really.
Oh, I talked to somebody at SAG today, and they said, "Oh, you come down. We can have a meeting in our office." And I was like, "I don't go that side of the 405."
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Exactly. I mean, you have no reason to leave. Look at this view. This is crazy.
We digress. Okay, so you hit upon the idea of the food and film nights,
Right.
and I take it it's growing.
It's growing big time, yeah. I had a big company from Spain that attended this last event. They're kind of like an Eventbrite. I don't know if I should say their name just yet because we're talking
Yeah,
Thursday.
just hold on off on that one.
But they came out on last Thursday, and they were impressed. They're like, "This is your 4th event, and you got all these people out here?" And I was like, "Yeah." So they asked me if they could come in with funding and help me.
And is it all advertised through your Instagram account?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We basically put out a post and say, and I keep it interactive. I let the audience pick the movies. So you can do
How do
the
you do
polls
that?
now on the story where you could do a poll. So I'll just take pictures of which movies I'm thinking. I'll narrow it down. I don't want to.
Right. You don't want to give them all 500.
Yeah, get all 500. So I'll give them like 2 options and let them vote on it. And the last one I did, it was between Step Brothers and Old School. And oddly enough, I'll show you the image of it right here. They voted on Step Brothers won 59%. So it's pretty cool how you can find out what they want to watch and kind of let them pick it. Yeah.
How much interaction do you have on the comments?
I actually it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm driving, because I'm on the phone 24/7. I have like arthritis in my thumb. I think I ice my thumb. I started icing my thumb lately because I'm private. That's the thing. If my niece isn't around, I have to do it myself. My niece is great. When I'm with her, she's in Florida. I'll hand her my phone.
Ice your thumb.
I've been icing my thumb lately. 2 nights in a row. It's helping. I'm like an athlete.
Oh man.
But no, sometimes I'll communicate a lot with people. Like one time I was up late working, and I just decided to ask everyone where they're from, and people were checking in from South Africa. A ton of South Africans. People were in China saying they're smoking.
In China?
I'm like, be careful, man. I don't even know if I want this comment on my page. I don't want to get killed. Yeah, China, South Africa, lots of people in Vegas. Shout out Vegas. But all over the world, it's awesome. I love doing that, and I'll comment back like as many as I can. I'll comment back just to let them know I'm seeing it, because I'm fascinated at knowing where these people are from.
So how many hours a day do you work on this?
I've narrowed it down to very little now, because I'm more focused now on building a brand. Like we have a follow. The followers are there and they love the page, but now I want to build it out into a brand that. I've always been like, even in my clothing days, my T-shirts were $10. That's why we were so successful. Is we made basically what people like. This was when Ed Hardy was big and all these brands. These guys were selling T-shirts for like $28 retail or wholesale, and we sold a better shirt for $10. And that's what I'm always been about: is work really hard to get a product that sells itself. And if you're delivering good value to consumers, they're going to always stay behind you. And that's how our brand lasted forever. Is we really just put great value out there.
So what's on the future? You have the food and film night.
Yep,
That's growing.
that's growing. I might have a partner coming in for that, and then I could tell you the other guy that's I'm talking to right now. He's a good friend of mine. He's John Bernard. He owns Mod Shop. It used to be called Room Service Furniture. It's called Mod Shop now, and he wants to invest heavily into the high society to take it to another level. We actually have retreats we're doing too out in Nipton, California. So we have a retreat we're doing, which is I'll get into that in a second. Okay. But so we have a retreat, a movie night. We're putting the website back up.
When will that be back up?
Well, the way that we're going to go now, because all the issues we had is. I bought the Glass Society because that was our biggest seller, was glass, like artistic glass, not just like little crack pipes. Right. I'm talking like real art.
Somebody buying a crack pipe is going to do it over the internet.
And I was just playing, but like we have like lava lamps that are hand blown by artists. Right. So this is like we have pieces that this guy contacted me. He has a piece that's $1 million, and it's insane. I don't know how we ship that.
Yeah, no, I was thinking, don't drop that.
But we have real nice glass. It's collectible glass, and there's a huge community of people that collect these pieces.
So that's going to be through a separate website?
Yeah, the Glass Society. So basically, the banks kind of let me in on, you gotta,
right.
So I changed it. So it's going to be the Glass Society, and we're going to be a platform for people for glass blowers or for consumers that want to sell or trade their glass, because like I said, some of these I see guys selling glass online for $4,000 and they're doing posts on their Instagram, and I'm thinking they might have 5,000 followers. So if I have access to all these different people that I could help them, basically the eBay of glass in a way, and we're going to curate the best glass and have it mixed up with different price points. So if you can't afford a $500 piece, there's a really nice piece that we found, because we don't just go to we don't have stuff that everyone else has. We really seek out unique pieces.
And will the website now, the High Society website, will you go back to merchandise in the sense of T-shirts and things?
Yeah, stuff that's not going to get us shut down. Right. I'll do like branded products, and we're going to go heavy with blogs on there again. So we're going to deliver information about the cannabis culture, whether it be like legalization or music or food, any.
And right now, your website already has some of that information.
Right, it has it, but I think it was just basically my fault. I was just spread too thin and kind of let that website kind of fizzle out for a minute, knowing that I'll get it back whenever I want it. But these things that I'm doing now are more important because I'm not really monetizing that.
Right.
And the good thing about that for the viewers is this is my philosophy is always honesty, and if I don't have advertisers throwing money at me for views, I just don't want to have to create clickbait articles to feed that machine. I don't want to build that machine. I want it to become organic, where we're promoting our own events through the website. That people that I know what I'm selling. I'm not pushing some message that I don't know what's really behind it or who's behind it. So it'll be up soon, and we're also going to host our podcast on the site.
Which this is the time to announce the podcast.
Yeah, the High Society podcast. Vanessa Johnston's the co-host. She's a comedian.
And then interview guests.
Yeah, we have a massive lineup. I'm like I'll list off a few names because I can't say them all, but I'll show you some. I sent it to her last night, and she has a really good list too, because she's in the circle with Chris D'Elia and Joe Rogan and Theo Von and all these really big name comedians. So she's in that world, and I have friends like Mark Mahoney, like legendary tattooist out here in Hollywood. Let me see who else I could say. Scott Storch, probably work with him. He's on the comeback from music producer. And we spoke not too long. Well, we spoke probably like 6 months ago, and probably reach back out to him. Let's see, Ali, the owner of this clothing brand, Seeker, real cool brand. A bunch of good people. Sydney Mallor, who I'm having lunch with today. I want to introduce you to her too. She's like my little sister, and she's got 1.1 million followers. So we're gonna be hanging out today. I'll talk to her about getting her in here too.
And then what's the plan on getting that up and going?
We're looking for a studio right now. We met with somebody yesterday. We've had some interest from Atlantic Records that we're gonna hopefully be speaking with them about maybe hosting the podcast out of their studio. The Comedy Store, we could work out of that studio, but we're gonna basically find a studio that can house us until we build out our own. So I would say like late September we'll probably start and build up like 20 podcasts, and then have them queued up. Yeah.
And then you talked about retreats. Tell me about the retreats.
Retreats. I'm always up late. I at nighttime I just get super creative, and I'm up working on creative things. So I was reading articles at like 3 a.m. about this town called Nipton, and they got bought out by.
Where is it? A town got bought out?
By a company called American Green, out near Vegas. Actually, by Prem. You know that stop right before Vegas with the roller coaster?
Yes.
Right there.
I broke my ribs there on the roller coaster.
No way! You fell off the roller coaster?
No, it's.
Oh, it smashed.
It smashed me.
Oh, that's good. How old were you?
I was about 10 years ago.
No, is that why it's shut down now?
I don't know.
Oh my God, my friend's uncle built that. I should call her up.
Oh really?
Yeah, this girle Romy Klinger. Shout out.
They used to sell passes.
Did they really?
So we went like 6 or 7 times in a row because we wanted to use the pass.
Banged up. Was it a good roller coaster? At least
it was a great roller coaster. It was a great roller coaster.
Yeah, I actually walked in there. I thought they had a poker room. I was in Nipton. I was itching to play poker. I walked in there, and it's scary. Oh. There was like 8 people in the whole resort. And they were lost, I think, too.
Okay, so you have. Let's get back to the retreats.
Yeah. So I emailed these. So I was reading this article. American Green buys this town, wants to turn it into a cannabis oasis. And I keep in mind, I already had the movie night in works. So I was reading this, going, "Oh man, I could maybe do an overnight movie night concept where we could go show movies and have people camp out there, and it's cannabis friendly, so people could just smoke in the movie." Yeah. So I emailed this guy at 3:00 in the morning, and he, I guess, was up as well in Arizona. And he forwarded the email to this guy, Freddie, who runs the town, him and his wife, Lindsay. They live in Nipton, and they run the whole town. And basically this guy, Peter, that got the email, the CEO, forwarded to them and said, "Hey, contact this guy right away. Let's get something going with him." So I think we met like 2 days later, and we met in Vegas. I was in Vegas, and they drove in to meet with me. And I knew the guy's face, Freddie. I knew his face when I saw him, and I was thinking that I might have knew him from the clothing industry. And it turns out I met him 15 years prior in Miami, where he used to live. He ran a nightclub in Miami. And I went to this event with my cousin and met him there. So instantly we were like, let's do this. Let's get this going. So I went out to Nipton. They invited me out, and the town it's amazing. It's got this like they call it Magical Nipton, and it fits the name really, really well. So I went out there, and we were sitting there just looking out at watching the sunset, and they were like, "What do you want to do out here?" And I was like, "Let's just start with something." And they go, "What do you have in mind?" And I was like, "Well, every Friday I go to yoga, to hot yoga over here on La Brea, and I smoke before I go, and it's like a spiritual experience. It's really amazing. Like, I honestly suggest it to anyone, even if someone doesn't smoke. I mean, it's worth definitely dabbling in. And I said, let's do a cannabis yoga retreat out here and like let people come out, no hassles. And they're like, all right, let's go. So we started, it's called the High Desert Retreat. And we started doing that. We've had a lot of good people coming out to this retreat. And now I'm actually doing the marketing for the town of Nipton. So it's become this whole, we've got this whole like incubation system going on here. And
how many people fall over?
In yoga?
Yeah.
None. No, these are pros. These guys are pros. Actually, they're not pros. I'm gonna kind of. So it's not. I don't want it to be like a yoga retreat. I feel like people are turned.
It's more of a fun thing.
It's more of a fun thing. It's like we do yoga, but it's come out. There's a pond. We built a pond. It's crazy. We built a pond. We have teepees. We have 10 teepees that have like 26-foot bases, fully furnished. We have 5 hotel rooms because it's a historic hotel. There's like a bathroom at the end of the hall and everything. It was built in 1905. It's a cool hotel. And then we have eco cabins and then camping available. So it's got everything kind of going on out there.
How often are the retreats?
We do one every other weekend during the outside of the summer months, because it was like 118 last time I was out there. We're not trying to kill anyone. Yeah.
The hot yoga. Yeah. Natural hot yoga.
Someone said you should, do some hot yoga weekends, but it's not. You can't even walk around out there at that time.
So what else haven't I asked you about that you want to share with us?
Let's see. I actually want to know how you like the podcast world real quick. I wanted to see what...
Turn the
I just wanted to...
It has been fun because I get to get a deeper dive, the superficial conversations you'll have with people.
Yeah.
You get the story, but you get to ask the details and you get follow-up, where in a social situation it would be too intrusive.
Right.
Where here it makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. If you don't ask that follow-up, it's almost an insult.
Yeah.
So it's been fun that way.
Yeah. No, I feel like it is. I feel like I listen to podcasts all the time, and I feel like it's such a good way to make the most of downtime. Like whether you're in the car, at the gym, I'm always listening to podcasts, and I feel like it is going to be fun. But I mean, this is the first time I've ever done it, so it's cool. But I just haven't talked to many people that have recently started one. And
so, if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
Email.
Email?
Yeah, I don't check DMs. It's just way too many, and the inbox gets hit like all day long.
And email on the High Society.
Yeah, I would actually rather them find it, because then if they're really serious,
you have to search.
Yeah,
for
you have to find it.
This is a mystery.
I don't want to say it because then it might get some people that didn't really want to talk to me. But I pretty much email back everybody. I definitely don't DM back everyone because it's just a lot of people trying to get shout outs and promotions and stuff. But yeah, so it's the best way to reach me on email.
This has been fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
This is great.
That's it for this time. If you enjoyed our podcast, please write a review on iTunes and tell your friends to subscribe. If you have any questions about influencers or suggestions for future episodes, email them to John at Pfeiffer@pfeifferlaw.com. Thank you for listening.